Welcome to IDEA StatiCa webinar. Hello to everyone. Good to see so many IDEA StatiCa enthusiasts from all around the world. People still joining in, which is wonderful. Hope everybody's doing just fine today. And we are here today to uncover what we've been working on for quite some time. It's special for us. IDEA StatiCa version 20 is a lot. And we have never done so many direct customer feedback implementations as we've done with this release. So we hope that you like it. Allow me to introduce myself and my colleagues first. My name is Juraj Shabatka. I'm one of the managers and owners at IDEA StatiCa. And I've got two product engineers here with me, Orsola and Cartale. How are you, Orsi?
Hello, I'm feeling fine, and greetings to all the concrete engineers out there who joined us today.
Thanks. And I got another colleague, Vid Hurčík. How are you, Vid?
Hello to everybody. Today I'm feeling a little bit more excited than usual because we have more than 200 attendees. So thank you for your attention here today.
Yep, and they're still coming. So it's good that we're recording this. We are using GoToWebinar, which puts you on mute by default. Please type in questions to the ribbon on the right. We will be answering them as the webinar goes, and at the end we'll communicate some of the questions out loud so everybody knows what the discussion is about. If we miss something, we will follow up with an email, but we usually cover everything. Please also check your audio, whether it is headphones or speaker, whether you're watching this with your friends, colleagues, or on your own. So, IDEA StatiCa version 20, we're gonna give you a glance of it. Then we're gonna start with the new licensing system, which was a big wish, and then a new in steel, which Vid will do, and concrete Orsola. You've probably noticed the numbering. It's no rocket science. We are not skipping 10 versions. Previously, IDEA StatiCa version 10, now it's 20. It's very straightforward. Align the numbering with years, with calendar years. So the next year it's gonna be 21. New licensing system. I'll explain that. And the biggest highlights in steel. Finally, the sketches, the drawings are here for connection design, 110 new templates, steel to timber connections, fully implemented Indian and Hong Kong code, new Eurocode for anchoring, and updated member application for stability and buckling. In concrete, parametric templates, partially loaded areas, and also British Annex for Eurocode. I will start with the licensing, which has been a pain. It's to be honest, we've had a lot of discussions with quite a few guys, and we've identified clear pains. We all struggle with logistics related to license codes, license files, dongles. We struggle with that. We are forcing you to set up your network servers on your infrastructure and make it align with our license kit. We struggle with fixing licenses remotely because they are device locked. So all of this is solved with the new licensing system. We've implemented a fully online and account-based system, which basically requires you to remember and know and be capable of doing only one thing. And that means log in by your username and password. And by default, the username is email. So we take everything on our shoulder, the hosting of the license servers. Basically, we create a virtual license server for each of our customers on our end, scalable, GDPR compliant, secure, encrypted, and admins log in and create other users. Everybody has its username and password, and that's everything you need to have. Your IDEA StatiCa installation will regularly check with our licensing server to update what kind of product, versions, number of seats you have. You don't have to be online all the time. We've created in a way that it's required only once per 72 hours by default that you are connected to the internet. So if you jump on a train or a plane or you go to a work trip or you work from home and you've activated the license yesterday, it will still work even though you're offline, you've turned off the computer, turn it on again. Admin of your organization can manage who can do what, can see the activations, and has a beautiful, simple customer portal to do it online directly. So IDEA StatiCa version 20, it has only this new licensing system. Today we will send all of your admins the initial login credentials. It's very simple. The old licensing systems keep going. They will be supported for another year until June 21. So expect the credentials email today with the admin username and password. Then your admins will log in, add more users, and get you going. And I'm gonna try it on myself. So I've got IDEA StatiCa version 20 downloaded on my machine. So let's hit it. And it prompts me to put username and password. That's my email. That's my password. So I'm going to sign in. So that's everything I need to do. This was a fresh installation of IDEA StatiCa 20.0.77, which is released from yesterday evening. And my license is now being checked. It's a little slower because we're sharing through the GoToWebinar. And I'm in. I see the products and I see applications. Some of them are gray. This is based on products I actually have as I've purchased them or not, or I'm on a trial. So I'm going to check it out clicking on this lock icon, which manages the manages the licenses. So it will populate the list of products I currently have. So this is my username, and this is products allowed in my organization. And I can, for example, decide that I don't want to consume anything concrete. I'll leave it to my colleagues. So we use our license better. I'm going to save. And if I restart IDEA StatiCa, I will only have steel license consumed from our company pool. If I want to return the license to the pool before the 72 hours window, which triggers it automatically, I just click sign out. So if I can do that, but the license is back in the pool, other people can work. All right. Everything is set up. You will receive instructions via emails. If anything pops up, just let us know and we'll figure it out. So that was the IT stuff. What do we have in steel, Beat?
We have a lot of new things. Thanks for asking, Uri. And I'm going to share my screen for you. Right, everything is set up and we are going. First of all, we collect a lot of requests from your side because you wanted to have a more technical outputs, for example, drawings or sketches outcoming from IDEA StatiCa connection, and we can understand that. So with a new technology behind the 3D scene, we are capable to implement section model view drawings, sketches, which is kind of different model view. With this model view, you can generate sketches for each plate, and you can work with them, and this sketch will change a little bit model view, and information about the welds, thicknesses, dimensions of the plates, etc. are shown. We are going to show you this feature in a practical demonstration in a few minutes. And I have to say that this feature is only for still enhanced version customers. First step in IDEA StatiCa connection for timber connections are steel to timber connection features. We implemented two new manufacturing operations for you, gusset plate and connecting plate. And these two manufacturing operations are dedicated especially to steel to timber connections. I have to say that this is the first step, so timber members are not checked at all. And we prepared also for you a new templates for this. And I'm going to show this also in the real demonstration. And the last thing, these steel to timber connections are only enabled in enhanced version of the steel product. Manufacturing operation improvements. We paid a lot of attention to clean manufacturing operation because it's a quite common one, and at the same time it's quite a hard one to work around because you have to use a lot of other manufacturing operations. Right now, from at version 20, any general plate which is perpendicular to the member can be connected by cleats, for example L angles, to member only by one manufacturing operation. Before, in the previous version, it consumes 2, 3, maybe more manufacturing operations. So it's this time-saving improvement. More, two perpendicular plates which are cut by each other can be connected by a cleat, which is really nice. And if you are not satisfied with L angles, you need more resistance. Let's say you can use T-stubs, and you can use these cross-sections with cleat manufacturing operation. Together, this huge improvement makes you much more easier to design bolted connections, which is, I think, especially great for the US market. And this is available in expert and enhanced version. More, we implemented advanced notch. Why advanced? Because in previous versions, when you had the clash of the flanges of the members, for example, in the picture on the left side, you had to define more than two manufacturing operations, opening or notch, and do it manually. Right now, only one checkbox can be marked, and this notch is generated automatically because the algorithm catches the clash of the flanges. And more, it can recalculate itself. So when you are adjusting the properties of the beam, for example, you change the inclination around the longitudinal axis, it recalculates itself. And this notch is implemented not only to the cleat operations, but also to the end plate and fin plate manufacturing operation. This is available in expert and enhanced version. Right now, IDEA StatiCa connection supports 7 national codes. We implemented Indian design code together with corresponding codes, and we implemented code checks for plates, bolts, preloaded bolts, welds. Also detailing checks for the bolts and concrete block resistance in the pressure. Together with this, we had to implement typical steel grades, typical bolt grades, and typical Indian cross sections. This is available for both versions of steel product. More, another code was implemented, Hong Kong design code, with relevant design codes for plates, bolts, preloaded bolts and welds, detailing checks for the bolts, and concrete block resistance. I have to say that Hong Kong design code doesn't require some kind of special materials or cross sections, because they are using Eurocode in a practical way. Check improvements in version 20. From Europe, we had a lot of feedback because as engineers, you already know that assessment according to the ETEC is a little bit more conservative than it's necessary. And due to this fact, we implemented anchoring check according to the Eurocode 1992-4. And all formulas is included in the detailed check of anchors and concrete cone breakout. This is implemented into expert and enhanced version. We have for you a new result model view. We call it contact stress between two plates. And with this new model view, you can check out and see contact stress generated between two plates. And this allows you to ensure that your model is behaving right. This enables you to check if the prying forces are generated in the right place and in the right values. More, I think this is a really nice feature, because partially supported base plates are available in version 20, and this brings a lot more design options for your anchoring designs. You can set different offset to the different sides. This is old feature from previous versions, but now the offset can be negative, so you can have partially supported plate or member to be anchored. This is for expert and enhanced version. In hand with implementation of new design codes goes the number of items in the libraries for cross sections. And we are aware that with thousands of items in these libraries, it's awkward to find your typical or favorite cross section. So we implemented a really nice tool. Now you can choose your favorite families for cross sections, mark it with a star, and then show only the favorite ones. So you don't need to go through all list of thousands of items. This will definitely speed up your design process. And more, let's say you are interested mainly in one location. Let's say I'm mainly interested in Canadian design code, so I will choose for first time when I start the IDEA StatiCa connection the Canadian code, and then relevant items in the library will be offered for my chosen code. So I will not go through Indian cross sections when I am interested only in Canadian ones. This is truly, I think, impressive. You already know wizard for new connection in our IDEA StatiCa connection window. This is the starting page, typical starting page. We implemented this in version 9. And from that point, we gathered your feedback And right now we implemented more than 110 new templates to help you to speed up your design process. I'm going to show it more in a practical demonstration. So no more talking in the presentation, and I want to show it in a real example. Oh, I have the Czech version. Okay, just let me change the language. Yesterday we had a webinar for news for version 20 for Czech and Slovak market, so I forget to change the language. So in a few seconds I'm going to open the IDEA StatiCa connection in English. Meanwhile, I saw 2 or 3 really nice questions from your side. So if you want to just ask them, and we will go through them at the end of the webinar. Great. I have IDEA StatiCa connection window in a English language, and we can talk about the wizard for new connection. I promised you a new template. So here in the column topology, we have, for example, new beam to column connection for weak side of the column, and for example, these continuous beam on the ended column, and with several designs. For example, new bracing templates for this kind of connections. And I think you will be interested in the timber to steel connections. And we have 6 new topologies with numerous designs. Okay, so we are going to check the new sections or drawings feature. And I'm going to pick these easy typical frame joint. Let's say that I designed this joint. I'm satisfied with this design, and I'm going to check the code check. Of course, it's a template, it will be satisfying, but it doesn't matter. The thing is that at this point, I need to prepare my report, my drawings, etc. And this is the way, or this is the point where I can start using the sections, because I need to talk with my designer or with my partner, and I need to show him my design. By this command, create section, I can change the model view and generate these sections. And check it out, it's not 2D, it's a 3D entity with borders which I can drag and adjust the shape of my section. Let's say I will drag it down because I want to separate only one part of the joint. Okay, I'm satisfied, and you can see that I have here marks for double fillet weld, thickness or leg size in AISC code, dimensions for the plates, etc. Okay, I'm going to turn it off and generate one more because I have a stiffener here also. So create a section, and I'm gonna adjust this also. There are new several commands like reverse or box where you can choose between the designed sections, and you can check it by your own when you have your IDEA StatiCa application. What else you can do with these sections? Let's say I need to print them out, so let's go to report, and you are aware of project item settings. Here in the version 20 there is a new button, pictures or sections, and by the refresh our drawings or sketches are provided into the report, and you can print it out to PDF or to Microsoft Word document. Moreover, in the build of the material, the sections are provided automatically. And that is the end of my practical demonstration, and we are going to continue in the presentation. In a future minutes, we are going to talk about the BIM and about the member application, so sit tight. Coaching Manager, our new unifying application. We implemented a new technology behind, which allows us to create a new user interface, which is unification for finite element analysis and CAD BIM links. Also, this Coaching Manager enables you to perform the exports from third-party applications to connection application and also to member application in one place with only one button. So this is really exciting. And it also hides new tools like materials tab, synchronizations for all items, definition of loads. This is really a huge topic, and I'm going to invite you for the last webinar, Connection Wednesdays, which will be talking about these code check manager workflows. Together with my colleague David, we are going to demonstrate you these things in a few weeks. This coaching manager is available for expanded and enhanced versions. And more, for the finite element analysis applications, we implemented a multiple selection tool. So for example, you can choose half of your structure, and by one command, by one click, connection, you will import a lot of nodes, a lot of connections in one push. This will definitely be really speed up the design process. And more, in RFM or RStab, one selection is implemented also. In this new technology goes in hand update of BIM links for new versions of supported applications. And this is actual list of updated ones. You will find them also at our new web page. IDEA StatiCa Member. Well, IDEA StatiCa Member beta version was a hit. And we are really glad that you are dealing with this application and using it. We have to say that we finished majority of verification and validations. Analysis like material nonlinear analysis, linear bifurcation analysis, and geometrically and material nonlinear analysis with imperfections for hot rolled sections were verified and validated. And you can find those documents in our resource center. But I have to say that this is really extremely laborious process, and we didn't finish it all. Verification for welded sections is not finished, and it's still in the process. So be patient, please. Also, as you can already see in the code check presentation, coaching manager presentation, we implemented BIM links for this member application. So you can use SAP 2000 ETABS, robust structural analysis, RFM or RStab and Axis to connect your project with a member. Version 10.1 was limited if we are talking about the manufacturing operations. So also we implemented new ones: cutoff member, cutoff plate, stiffening member, general weld, and transversal stiffener for you in the member version 20. So I think this is a huge step forward, and practically this is the end of steel part. So I think my colleague Ursula is ready for you.
All right, thanks a lot, Vít. Thanks to everybody for streaming in the questions. I would say like over half is licensing, over half is product. So we're going to do the concrete part now, and then we're going to do some of the questions for everybody to hear. So what's new in concrete, Orsi?
Thank you. So let's go to the concrete news, what we have new in concrete in IDEA StatiCa version 20. The first new feature that I would like to present to you is the parametric templates of diaphragms. It is a new feature in the application IDEA StatiCa Detail, and it is mainly for bridge engineers who are dealing with bridge diaphragms and would like to design and co-check them using IDEA StatiCa Detail. So all the new templates in IDEA StatiCa Detail for diaphragms that you can see down here in the picture are now fully parameterized. It means that using several different parameters, like the ones you see in the right picture, you can define a correct geometry, a correct shape of the diaphragm. And from these 4 basic templates, you can easily create the desired shape for the diaphragm that you want to design. The adjust of the geometry is really simple, and I will show it in a minute in the application on a practical demonstration. Another important topic are the partially loaded areas for discontinuity regions and in general for concrete structures. These partially loaded areas are areas with triaxial stress when some kind of transverse confinement happens in the concrete structure. We can assume partially loaded areas usually under concentrated forces or in places where we need to transfer huge concentrated reactions or forces into the volume of concrete. According to Eurocode, in these areas, the strength of concrete can be raised up to 3 times of its cylinder strength. And here in the pictures, you can see some of the most commonly used examples for these areas. They are typically found in anchoring zones when it comes to beam details or under concentrated forces. For example, if you have a concentrated force acting on a wall and you need to transfer this force correctly into the model. Or they can appear above supports, bearings, typically found in bridge diaphragms, where huge reactions need to be transferred. For the transfer of the load, we use a concrete cone. This concrete cone is also described in Eurocode, and the load is distributed through dispersed fictitious struts. For this, you can see an image here in the middle. And the bearing capacity of concrete is increased with changing of the area AC0, AC1, also can be seen here in the middle picture. And we maintain constant stress along the height of the cone. So this is a little bit about the theory behind these areas. And we also have some rules for the application of these partially loaded areas, which from now on, from the version 20, will be a new geometrical entity in the model of the detail. And some of the rules are that the cones cannot coincide, and the areas AC0 and AC1 has to lie on the same line. But these rules are checked by the application for you. So if any of these rules aren't fulfilled, you receive a notification, a non-conformity in the software that warns you that something has to be changed or that you cannot fully use these partially loaded areas where you want to. Another new improvement for concrete is the implementation of the British Annex for Eurocode. So if you are designing projects, if you are working on projects in the United Kingdom, from now on you can use the British Annex in our concrete applications RCS, beam, column, and in the beam interface for concrete too. Here you can see an updated table of our currently working beam links. Similarly, as for connections, we had to update the versions of the third-party applications that are supported and update the beam link so it works correctly with all the new versions. So let's go to the practical demonstration. And I would like to show you a diaphragm in detail, because on this example we can show more of the new features. One thing are the parametric templates of diaphragms, and also the partially loaded areas that can be used on many types of concrete structures, but diaphragms are a typical example for these areas. So out of these 4 basic templates, I will pick the box girder diaphragm, the first one, and show you how the geometry can be adjusted in just a few minutes, depending on the complexity of geometry of your design, of course. So in the geometry part, the entity diaphragm now has this quite big amount of parameters. All the symbols are explained in this picture up here, so you get the idea what you are changing and what you are editing. And with the changing of the parameters, the right side, the scene is automatically changing, so you can adjust the geometry really easily. Another thing are the partially loaded areas, which are used in these templates too. You can see that we have 2 distributed point supports which are supporting the diaphragm here. We implemented into this part, into this type of supports, into a distributed point support, the option to automatically use partially loaded areas with it. You can check or uncheck this checkbox and activate or deactivate the partially loaded area with it, which can be seen in the picture here, and it is marked with the orange cone. And you can also notice that we have added some additional rebars for this partially loaded area. This is also based on Eurocode. We have to add some reinforcement when we want to distribute the concentrated force, in this case the reaction, and it can cause big transverse forces that are bared by these bars, these rebars. The geometry of the area is defined in the table here, and the amount of reinforcement that we applied is also defined under here. I will show you the 3D view, the 3D visualization of the diaphragm to see it better. So the partially loaded area looks like this. It is a concrete cone, and it is created over the point support, the left one and the right one too. If we would like to use a partially loaded area to distribute the concentrated force somewhere else on the model, which can be also done, it is added as a new entity, and it is considered as a load transfer device. Here, this is a new operation that can be used from now on in IDEA StatiCa detail. And it can be placed on any edge of the structure, of course. So, to show you the effect, I already calculated this example. So without using the partially loaded area over the support, we would receive for such a diaphragm a huge concentration of stress in concrete, mainly in concrete, right above the supports. and probably such a model wouldn't fulfill for once the code requirements, but also the numerical model could not handle such a peak in stresses. But using this concrete cone to distribute the stresses better, we received a more realistic result of our calculation, and there is not such big peak as without using these areas. So that was everything from the practical presentation for concrete, and I would like to give the floor back to Juraj to finish the presentation and maybe answer some questions.
Perfect. Thanks a lot, Darshi. Thanks a lot for showing us what's happening in the concrete. We are busy answering a lot of questions. Before we go into them, let me just show you one more thing so we are all on the same page. So if you are already in possession of IDEA StatiCa version 10 and you have a maintenance, you get all these automatically. Okay, there's no need to do anything specific. I saw a couple of questions about that. So if you have a if you're a steel customer, you get the sketches, you get 110 new connection templates, steel to timber connections, new design codes, and member application. If you do concrete, you get parametric templates, partial load areas, and British Annex. How to get it? After this webinar, don't be that fast. We've prepared a short survey. Please take 20 seconds to fill it out. Then what will happen? During today, we're going to send license credentials to your admins. And then you can go to our website, ideastatica.com. Some of you will notice that it's been rebranded, but still us. Okay. The most important thing is the support center where I find everything. So downloads and licensing right off the bat, installation, download. So this is the actual setup. A lot of you is using plugins for exporting, so that's also there. So I'm going to click on download. I see the latest version of IDEA StatiCa here. If I want to do the plugins, I'm a detailer with Tekla structures. I just need to export connections. I go here, right? Okay, cool. So we've tried to answer a lot of the questions right in the GoToWebinar, but it's becoming a little bit too much. So I try to pinpoint some of the that are repeating themselves. So supporting older projects. So the license of version 10 will keep on working even past June 21, but we will not be able to support it. That means transferring to other license, resetting, adding products, etc. Okay. It's good to see so many guys from Hong Kong here. Yes, we started the process of certifying the product to get it on the list. At the same time, we are part of the process of the new Eurocodes. We're talking to multiple industry bodies and researchers around the world to make design codes for connection design and concrete better overall. Then there's a bunch of questions about the section views. So I guess that's on you, Veet. So we've got, how about the dimensions for the section views? Can we input the dimensions? Can we measure lines on plates in the section view? Can we export or somehow get drawings to AutoCAD?
Thank you guys for those questions. There are a lot of them, and I think I already managed to answer, but if I can sum it up, these sketches are really nice, but in effect, they are just a different model view or different presentation of the data in the 3D scene. And this current technology allows us to print screenshot from the 3D scene into the report, but it doesn't allow us to print the whole 3D model in as a data into the third-party data formats like DVG or DXF. I hope that this will be possible in the future because it's a logical step, and this is also question if we are going to talk about the measurement or snapping in the 3D scene. It's basically a logical thing, but we are limited in the current technology we are using. And we are aware of this requests, and I hope in the near future, with this first step, we will be able to implement them.
Perfect. I see one for concrete that's on yours. Is the concrete design module, does it have the possibility for calculations, crack analysis at serviceability limit state?
Yes, that's a great question. Of course, we cover complete code checks for SLS as well, including cracks, deflections, stress limitation in concrete and in reinforcement too. So the answer is yes, and use it, try it, and you will see how good it works.
Couple of questions: what to do when my software is not linked to IDEA StatiCa yet? We have, I guess, 17 BIM links. You can see them here. And if your software vendor is not linked with us, just tell him, because we can create it together real fast. We've created a special tool, an open API, which basically requires that your software vendor needs to devote the software engineer for 2 weeks with us, and we're going to build the BIM link together real fast. Okay, we fine-tune this. Boundary connection, boundary conditions. Can I introduce the section cut and stiffness rather than assign a bearing member which is fixed as boundary condition? Beat, I guess that's on you.
Yeah, that's on me. The attendee is asking about the different way how to make a boundary condition in the connection, which is a practically way how to create a model. That's a CBFEM question, and if you understand the component method or the CBFEM method in deep, you are aware that there are only fixed ends, fixed boundary conditions. On the other hand, we are going probably to implement different way how to create boundary condition in the IDEA StatiCa member in the future. We are thinking of implementing boundary conditions with variable stiffness input. So not in connection probably, but probably in the future in the member application.
Thanks a lot. Speaking of the future, there is a question about concrete reinforcement in the steel base plate. I think 2 or 3 times there. It's a good direction. It requires us to be able to model 3D concrete, which is not easy. We will do it eventually, and that's when it all kind of meets in one place. You're thinking in a good way. A couple of questions about all the nice pictures. Where do we find them? So if I go to our website, I go to Support Center, and I click Release Notes, I will basically see the same visuals, just put in the release notes format. So here you can get the same content. It's live already. Share it with your colleagues. And same thing for concrete. Okay. We put the licensing system to both. So if you're reading both, you can skip it. Okay. All right. questions about the timber connections, the CLT connections, if it is possible, the cross-laminated ones. I think that's not possible yet, right, Vít?
It's not possible yet. That's true. But in effect, the timber material doesn't figure in the code check, and IDEA StatiCa connection doesn't perform the code check of the timber members. So in effect, it doesn't matter which kind of material you are using. The applied forces are distributed right into the connection elements like balls or balls. So you get a slightly conservative result, but you can check your members, so the timber members by your own, and then apply the material properties.
Okay, very good. Some questions about how we work with contact stress. Does the contact stress between perpendicular plates only take into consideration the welds or the plates also?
Well, IDEA StatiCa connection, or I probably should say CBFEM method, takes into account nonlinear contact between two plates. And these finite element properties takes into account a contact of the shell of the plate, which gives you the influence of the plate stiffness, plate dimensions, and influence of a way how the plate is connected to each other. If we introduce the bolts or if we introduce the welds, this influence is covered with this behavior between this nonlinear contact behavior between the plates.
All right, thanks. In the meantime, I put contact stress keyword into search of our support center to show you the articles you get, and you can filter them to get better results. There's a question about member as well. If we actually, how it is relevant, the sophisticated GMNI analysis for the frames, the steel beams, frames. It depends. It's true that for really the simple stuff, you don't need any special type of new analysis. But we see more and more complex topologies coming up. And that's why we've created the IDEA StatiCa member with those advanced types of analysis. So we are talking about topologies like this, D-beams, various platforms, asymmetrical frames. And here it is a factor for safety. And we want to make sure that you have a tool to assess safety to get a code check for these as well. And that means to come up with that sophisticated engine in the background, but at the end you get pass or fail and a clear result from us. Okay. One more, I guess that's on UV again. Is it possible to get a deflected contour plot of the steel connection so that we can see accurately how much a connection deflects, for example, for a bracket?
Deformated model view is available right now in the IDEA StatiCa connection, and you can check it out. But we provided, or IDEA StatiCa connection provides this model view without the values of the deflection, because we want to keep it simple. We want to keep the results straightforward. And we believe that if you are interested in, for example, limits, you want to know the limit deformation of your detail, you should use far more advanced methods. IDEA StatiCa connection is dedicated to design and check of your connections, and this is not necessary to know the real value of the deflection of the detail.
Thanks, Vít. Last question, concrete, that's on you, Orsi. The example is simply supported. However, in actual situation, the end boundary conditions are complex. If you allow the user to introduce the stiffnesses around the element under design.
Of course, the supports are always the big topic, how you should support a concrete member. It depends on the real supports in the structure, what you use. You should also always consider what the reality will be like, and it always requires some engineering judgment to apply the correct support in your example. So it's hard to tell when you don't have the materials for the real project, I think.
Okay, so feel free to send us an interesting examples. Most of you have a dedicated IDEA StatiCa local partner, an authorized reseller, which we prefer as we train local teams that speak to you in your local language, etc., etc. So if you're not sure, you can check the list of our points of support, and you can either, it's always better to contact your local partner directly, but if you contact us, don't worry, we're gonna work together to solve your query, whether it is licensing, whether it is what's in the code checks. Okay. All right. Perfect. Thanks a lot. If we missed some of the questions, we'll go through them and answer by email. We surely did, but let's not drag you into this anymore. You've been wonderful. Thanks a lot for participating. We're looking forward to see version 20 projects and version 20 features in practice. And we're looking forward to seeing some of you live at various events around the world. Thanks a lot. Thanks to my colleagues, Vít and Orsi. And we're looking forward to seeing you in other webinars. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Have a nice day. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.